A lot of people want to start any kind of business, like let's say it's a service business or a product business. But remember, any business you're starting with, you have to remember it's all about the customer. I'm just kind of reviewing a little bit. So the people who just came in. So remember, when you're starting a business, it's really coming down to customers, and your customers are your business. It's that simple. Your customers are your business. If Amazon didn't have any customers, Amazon would not exist. If nobody bought Ford vehicles, Ford would not exist. So remember, any business, I don't care if it's Disneyland, if it's selling refrigerators, if it's Sears, if it's Macy's, if it's whatever business, if they don't have any customers, they're out of business. And most of the businesses right now are losing customers by the thousands, by the millions, because of a couple of things. First of all, they didn't make the proper adjustment. So remember this, when you're starting a business, everything comes down to your customer, what the customer wants, what the customer buys, what the customer needs on a regular daily basis or monthly basis or weekly basis. That's exactly what your business is. If you can't provide that, they will not come back to you. Remember that. So most businesses right now are failing because they didn't make the proper adjustments in the situation that we're living right now, or even prior to that, they didn't make the proper adjustments to either go online or service the customers that they already have. A lot of businesses had, let's say, membership systems like Foot Locker, I know Staples. A lot of businesses, even like grocery stores, have memberships where you just, give them, I think, a name and email address, and they give you a little scanner, and they scan and give you discounts in terms of your products or your services that you're buying. Now, a lot of businesses were doing this because what they wanted to do was wanted to track what you're buying and track what you're doing, pretty much. Even though they give you a discount, what they really was getting, where they were getting data. They were getting a lot of data and a lot of information from customers and learning their buying patterns. So understand, when you're starting a business, you have to understand the customer is the most important part. Now, the reason these businesses are failing now or filing for bankruptcy, like JCPenney just filed for bankruptcy, a bunch of businesses just filed for bankruptcy because they didn't follow or they didn't learn about the new trends that are coming up. So understand, when a business is starting out, the first thing they focus on is the customer, but then they start falling off because they get comfortable. So understand, when a customer is disappointed or customer is mad or customer does not come back, it's on the business owner to make sure to understand why that one customer did not come back or did not return or did not purchase again. And what it comes down to is most businesses do not translate, thinking that they need to take their products from a physical location to an online location. That's why Amazon is decimating most businesses, because they can sell almost everything online. They started with books, then they moved on to software, then they moved on to, now you can almost get everything you want delivered to your house, including food, cooked food, and natural foods. So understand, most businesses are going to die because they didn't make the proper adjustments when it came to making the customer happy. So understand, when a customer is not happy, they won't come back to you, whatever business you're starting. I don't care if they buy one product. If they're not happy or they come back and return that product, that means that customer is not happy. So anytime you think about business, you have to understand those two things. Understand that the customer is the whole business. Your customer is the number one thing in business. It's not about your products. It's not about your service. It's about the customer. If the customer wants something, you better provide that customer what they want, or else you're going to lose that customer. And that just becomes a cycle for most businesses. And I'll give you an example here. But we have to understand the most important part when it comes to business. The two most important parts when it comes to business is time and money. Time and money. Why are these two things most important? Well, first of all, time you can't get back. So once this time is gone, it's gone forever. You cannot get it back. Number two is money. Now, money is infinite. You can lose some money and get it back. You can, spend money and make more money. So understand that these two things are the most important part when it comes to being successful in any business. In any business, time and money. Now, once you understand that time you can't get back, you have to understand that every time you put into somebody else's business, you're not getting that time back for your business. So understand, you have to figure out a way to coordinate your time so that way you're working. Let's say if you're working for somebody else, okay, you're working 9 to 5. What are you doing between 6 and 10 or 6 Or let's say you have kids and they go to bed by 7 or 8. What are you doing between 8 and 2 a.m.? What's that time you're doing? Either you're wasting it on your own, devices, or you're starting your own business. And that's what I suggest most people is take the time that you have available to you. I don't care if it's early morning or late night, and take that time to start thinking about coordinating your business, because the time is gone regardless. So you might as well use it to be successful, and you learn how to be active in terms of starting your business. The time that you have is finite, meaning you only have that certain time. So every single year you say, I'm starting a business, and you don't do anything towards it, you're not gonna have a chance to be successful. So understand, time and money are the two most important parts when you're starting a business. Now, we figured out the time between, let's say 8 and 2 a.m. I'm gonna work on my business. Now, what are you working on? Well, every business wants to make money. Yes, that's not even a question. And that's why we started businesses, to make money. But now, if you're starting on and saying, listen, I want to make, tons of money, that's actually the wrong mindset to think of, because like I said, money is a result. So what you should really be focusing on is, how can I get my first customer? And for those people who just came in, I'm just kind of reviewing a little bit. How can I get that first customer? Even if you take from 8 p.m. till 2 a.m., you figure out a way to get one customer, that time was not wasted, because now you're actually realizing how a business owner thinks. If you're advertising, let's say you open up, a bagel shop, or you do something, whatever business you're starting with, that first customer that comes into your business is the most important customer. So you have to service that customer. Remember, however you got that customer, whether through lead generation, word of mouth, outside advertising, whatever, you have to figure out a way, okay, how did this customer come to me? And then how did I service them? Were they happy? Were they pissed off when they left? Were they excited when they left? Were they going to give me a good review online? Are they going to follow me on my social media? I mean, these are things that you have to think about as a business owner to be successful. But once you think, okay, I want to make money, I want to make tons of money, the way you want to focus on is getting more tons of customers. It's that simple. Customers equals dollars. The more customers you have, the more dollars you're going to make. So if you're starting out with a business, let's say you're selling cell phones, you're going to need a ton of cell phones, which means a ton of products, and a ton of customers to make a lot of money. But if you are focused on just the money, you're not going to care about the customer's experience with your business or your product, which you should be focusing on 100%. Every business that's successful has a bunch of customers who are satisfied. Every business that's fails has a bunch of customers that are not satisfied. It's that simple. It's binary. It's either you're happy with the customer, the customer's happy with you, or the customer's not happy with you. So you got to find, there's no medium in between. So understand, if I want to start a successful business, I have to have a track record of customers that are happy and satisfied with my business. Now, if you're starting a business, like I talked about kind of last week, I want to kind of review, is what you're trying to do is create a money machine. What you're trying to do is create a money machine that can create money for you or produce money for you without you physically working for it. When you're starting off, you are doing everything. You're the cleaner, you're the marketer, you're the servicer, you're the provider, you're the customer service, you're the person running the social media, you're doing everything. But if you want to scale up and you want to become a successful business owner, you have to think about working outside the business and not working inside the business. So let's say your business is selling cell phones. Yes, the first cell phone, the first 100 cell phones you're selling yourself. But now what you want to think about, especially if you want to become a business owner, is think about, okay, I can get the cell phones from China or wherever. Now, who's going to sell these cell phones for me at a decent rate that I can make some money off without me physically selling these cell phones? Well, you can hire somebody, you can open up a website, you can start doing eBay, OfferUp, all these other websites that can offer you services, which means advertising your cell phones without you physically having to sell. Now, once you have that idea that, listen, I can actually scale this business up, meaning I can have a third party, a website, a person working for me at a stall or a booth or something like that. Now you're thinking more of a business owner, because now you can think about scaling your business. Scaling your business comes down to increasing the customer lead generation. It's that simple. If my customers, I'm bringing in 10 customers a day, as a business owner, I got to think about, how can I bring in 100 customers a day? How can I bring 1,000 customers a day? That's when you start thinking about as a business owner instead of working in the business. Because if you're physically every single day selling a cell phone, you're not thinking about how to scale your business up. So understand, you're trying to build a money machine that you don't have to work inside of, but the money machine creates money for you without you having to physically work. Now, how do you do this? How do you build a business machine, or how do you build a money machine? Well, you have to follow the laws of success or business success. There's 4 laws. The first law is a recipe or blueprint. What are you selling? What are you doing? What's your business plan? What are you trying to do in terms of getting clients? Or what product or service are you selling? It's that simple. That's the recipe. If you don't have a recipe, you just go winging it. You have a high chance of failure because you don't have a recipe. You're not following something. Think of it as you're baking a cake. If you're just winging it, most likely that cake is not going to come out well. But if you have a recipe and someone's done it before, or you have a blueprint, that means you can follow it step by step and get the results that other person received. So how do you get a recipe, or how do you get a blueprint? Well, first of all, you can ask somebody who's in the business, or you can follow somebody else's recipe, or you can learn from a teacher who's been in that business for a long time, and they can give you their recipe. Understand, there's a recipe for almost every business. Unless you're being an entrepreneur and starting up something new, even then there's a recipe on how to become a successful entrepreneur. All you have to do is go to sba.gov, which is a small business association, and they have so many different ways of blueprints in terms of business plans or ideas for people who have been successful in that business. Understand, the recipe is the easiest thing you could find. The blueprint is the easiest thing you can find. I can find a blueprint for this house. I just have to go to City Hall. I can find a blueprint or recipe on how to make, make a cake or make a pie. It's that simple. All it is now is the ingredients that you're putting into the business, or the business machine, or the money machine that you're creating. It comes down to the recipe. What the number one, the first law is, you have to have a recipe or a blueprint of the business that you're trying to create. And once you find that blueprint recipe, next step is law number 2 is you have to have the ability to take massive action. Massive action comes down to how much time are you willing to put into that business. If the goal is to create a money machine that creates money for you, regardless of you working, you have to take massive action. The first action is, let's say, like I said, I'm selling cell phones. I have to take some capital myself and buy some cell phones and then resell them on a service website. That's taking massive action. I mean, if you are selling cell phones, you better be on every single website that sells cell phones. You better be able to market to everyone that looks for cell phones. You better look for people who have broken cell phone screens and market to them. You better contact Verizon, T-Mobile, all these other providers, and know how their system works, on how to put a customer onto their lines. These are things that take massive action if you want to start that business. Same with any business. I don't care if you're baking pies or cakes. You better have the massive action of marketing to all the restaurants, maybe adding their desserts to their menu, or going to Stop and Shop, all these other groceries, and putting your pies right in front, or maybe having samples, going to Costco and putting out booths for samples and people testing your pies or cakes. These are things that can help you, but these take massive amounts of action, especially if you want to become successful in any business. Law number 2 is you have to be able to take massive action. Law number 3, this kind of comes back to also law number 1, but it's a huge thing, is you have to have a mentor or a coach. What a mentor or a coach does is, what they do is they provide you with experience, seasoned experience in the business that you're starting in. Ideally, you want somebody in a role of an executive or a business owner who's been in it for at least 10 to 20 years. Why? Because they can shorten your learning curve on the mistakes you're making. So if you're starting a business, selling toys, whatever, try to find somebody who's been selling toys for 50 years, 20 years. Find somebody who's retired in a business that maybe sold something similar. Those are things that can help you when you're starting a business. So law number 3 is have a mentor or a coach. Law number 4 is you have to have a vision. You have to have a vision or some kind of aim you're going for, some kind of goal. So if my goal is to, like I said, have 1 customer, that's your goal. That's your number 1 thing. Get that customer. Once you have that customer, you better have another vision. It better not be 1 customer. It better be 10 customers. You better have bigger visions that you can achieve, so that way you can work hard and have the ability to take massive action. So that's law number 4, is just have a written vision or somewhere you're going, so that way you know what kind of work ethic you have to put in to get there. If you have small little visions, you can get there overnight, then you're not going to have a successful business. So you better have long-term vision. You should have a 1 year vision. You should have a 2-year vision. You should have a 5-year vision. You should have a 10-year vision. Why? Because these are the things that will push you to grow your business. It's that simple. If you want to stay small, that's fine, but you're not gonna have a chance to succeed because somebody else can just copy your business and scale up and take all your customers. So understand, every time you start a business, I don't care how small it is or you have zero money, you have to think, how can I scale this business up to 10 customers, 1,000 customers, 50,000 customers? And those kind of give you the vision to be able to work and put in the effort that needs to get there. Every single time I start a business, and I started many businesses, I always have that vision. Even if that vision is too big and I might never reach it, it gives me the work ethic to be able to push in and go for it. If you have any kind of business right now, what you want to think about is scaling up, scaling about how can I get more customers? How can I get more clients? How can I get more product lines? Or how can I get more customers coming to my website? How can I get my phone to ring nonstop? How can I get a flood of emails from customers wanting my business? These are the things you want to think about if you're already a business owner. And if you don't have a business, you have to just start, like I said, with that first customer or that first service or that first product to see how you can really, scale that business up. So let me give you an example of ways businesses have really failed from not learning how to season or take care of their customers. In 1965, GM, General Motors, was the largest company in the world by far, and it wasn't even close. The closest next automaker was 10 times smaller than what GM was. So understand, GM had all the power, had all the leverage, had all the banking, had everything. Now, 50 years later, GM is filing for bankruptcy. They're actually asking for stimulus packages from the government. Now, what happened? Well, two things happened. First of all, GM got comfortable and didn't realize that their cars were trash. Their cars didn't last long. Their cars were heavy and they took longer to make. And they were, just because they were American made does not mean they were better. A lot of people fell into that pride of being American made, and so a lot of people bought GM. But then when people started getting smarter and realizing that every time I buy a car and it dies within 2 or 3 years, I better go buy a car that can last me 10, 15 years. And what happened was Toyota came along and started making smaller cars, more gas efficient cars, more compact cars, and cheaper cars. Now, at first, people did not want to buy foreign cars because they actually thought that foreign cars were actually inferior to American cars, which was the total opposite. Toyota's cars were actually stronger. They lasted longer. They were better on gas, and they were cheaper. And they were cheaply made in a foreign country because the labor costs were cheaper. So understand that. So in 50 years' time, GM went from being the #1 company to being filing for bankruptcy. And who took its place? Toyota took its place. Why? Because they were understanding the customer's needs. They understood that the customer needs a cheaper car, needs a car that can last longer periods of time. They need cars that can hold their value. Most GM cars don't hold their value, but Toyotas last for years and years and years. You can still see older versions of Toyotas still on the road right now, older versions of Hondas on the road right now because they have that reliability. And once those customers understood that Toyotas and Hondas last longer, GM was screwed because now they lost all their market share, meaning everyone who had GMs probably sold them or junked them and went and bought Toyotas or Hondas because they realized that the customer was the most important part. Honda and Toyota understood that the customer wanted reliable cars, wanted cars that could last long, were cheaper made in terms of labor, and also cheaper in cost. Understand, these are things that you can use as a business owner on understanding. It doesn't matter who's the #1 spot. You can get there. You just have to understand what the customer wants, what the customer needs. Once you understand that, you can service them on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a yearly basis. You'll have repeat customers for years. It doesn't matter who the competition is, because if you have the right price, the right product, right service, and you treat the customer well enough, they won't look at anyone else. Anytime they go buy a car, they'll go to Toyota, they'll go to Honda because they have that history with them. So understand, every business you're starting, that's your job, is to satisfy the customer, please that customer, make sure that they leave with a smile. If they actually pissed off, or they don't buy your products, or they're not satisfied, find out why they're not satisfied. Find out how you can improve your service or product. If you can't, you're going to be out of business in a short period of time, because your customer is your number one thing. The customer is the number one product you're trying to service. If you want to become a millionaire, find a million people you can help with your product or service. You want to become a billionaire, find a billion people you can help with your product or service. It's that simple. If you want a couple $100, then find a couple people that you can service. It's that simple. So every business you're starting, you have to think about, what's your vision? Do I want to have, a global company? Do I want to have a small little retail store? Do I want to have franchises everywhere? These are the visions that will help you and plan your business correctly. Most people think too small. Most people think, I just want to make a couple $100 and be good. No, what you want to think about is, how can I make this business into one of the biggest businesses in the world? That's how big you should think. Every business should start thinking like that. My business, I think of a global. How can I become a global real estate investment firm? Not just local. I mean, I did start locally. I started in Mass, but then I went to Florida. Then I went to Indiana. Then I went to Pennsylvania. Now I'm trying to go overseas. Understand, every business you're trying to do, you should have a bigger image in your mind. So that way you have the work ethic and you're willing to put the time in. If you have small dreams, you're going to have small results. So understand that. Now, a lot of people have issues with thinking, oh, I need to write a business plan to be a business owner. No, you don't need a business plan. What you need is just an idea, a concept, something that's going to help you in terms of growing your business. That's it. That's all you need, the idea and the concept. And once you have that idea and concept, it's about taking massive action and then putting that time in to make sure you grow that business from where you are. Excuse me. So that's what I really want to talk about today. If you guys have questions or comments, I want you to see them in the Zoom chat. That way I can kind of see what kind of questions you guys have, and I can maybe hopefully answer them. Anybody have any questions or comments? Zoom only gives me 45 minutes for free. That's why I want to make sure I give you guys time to ask questions or comments. Anybody have any questions or comments? Don't be shy. You can just unmute yourself, or you can write in the chat box, and that way I can get to your question. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Any questions? Ideas for businesses? All right, let me see. I have a question here. How do I know whether my blueprint will satisfy my customers? That's a great question. Well, first of all, what you want to think about is, where did you get your blueprint? That's number one thing. Where did you get your blueprint from? If you have your business blueprint or your business idea or your concept, you have to think about it. Where did it come from? Did it come from somebody who's successful, who's been doing it for a long period of time? Did it just come from your head? Did you think, okay, I'm going to put this blueprint together? Nothing wrong with that either. But the whole point is, if your blueprint came from someone who's successful and you follow it, most likely you're going to get the same results. If the blueprint came from your head, now you have a 50-50 chance of being successful, but at least you have a chance to be successful because you have a blueprint you're following. So what I suggest is, if you know that the blueprint came from someone who's successful, most likely they have customers or providers that they've been successful with. So that's when you know that they'll satisfy customers, and there's people willing to pay money for that idea or for that blueprint that you have in your head, for that business idea. If your blueprint came from your head, then you really don't know that it'll satisfy customers until you get that first customer. So understand that the first customer is the most important part, and that way you know, okay, this blueprint works or this blueprint doesn't work. I had, like I said, 7 businesses before that I started, and I thought I had a proper blueprint, but I didn't satisfy any customers because I was not focused on the customers. So understand that any business that you're starting, the customer is the most important part. If the customer is not satisfied, you're not going to have a successful business. So understand, wherever you got the blueprint from, if it's someone successful, follow it to the T, and hopefully you have the same chances of success or higher chances of success because you're following somebody who's been in there before. If it came from your head, remember, you have to at least find a customer who's willing to pay you $1 or $5 or $10, whatever, for that product or service, and then you will kind of learn from that customer. Were they satisfied? Were they happy with it? Are they willing to be repeat customers? Are they willing to refer you? Are they willing to give you a review? Understand, these things will help you understand if the customer is satisfied or not. The only way you know that is if they come back to you. Repeat customers are the only way you know that the customer is satisfied. So understand that. Any other questions? I love that question. That was a great question. Anybody else have any other questions? I have about 6 minutes left before Zoom kicks me off. Don't be shy. There's no such thing as a stupid question. And we only have 4 of these Zoom calls left. So I want to make sure I try to give as much value as I can for those people who show up. Any other questions? Just type in the chat box, or ideas for businesses, just write them in the chat box. If you have concepts that you're thinking about, write them in the chat box, and I'll try to get them to them also. Let me see here. Any other questions? Don't be shy. We're all about learning here and experiencing education in terms of business ideas and business concepts, how to be successful at business. All right, looks like everyone, at least who came in, didn't have any questions, which is great. But if you do have questions, you can write them down for next week. Guys, I want to thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you next Wednesday, 10 a.m. If you can be early, so that way we can make sure to get as much time as we can in terms of questions and answers. If you know people that will be interested in these Zoom calls, we only have 4 left. Let them know, share. All right, let me see. I got a question here before we finish. How do I start a YouTube channel? Okay, YouTube channel. Well, a YouTube channel is not going to be a business yet because it's not going to bring you any money yet, because you want to have at least 10,000 subscribers. Ideally, if you have 10,000 subscribers, you can have a chance to be monetary, meaning you can make money off of it. But the YouTube is not going to be a business yet because you can't make any money off of it. But once you start making money off it, then it's officially a business. So you can start a YouTube channel by just finding a passion that you have, whether that's sewing or baby care or teaching people or whatever skill you have or whatever passion, and you start creating videos on a daily basis. Ideally, you want to create a video every single day and post every single day, so you have that continuity, and people will start being aware that you have the knowledge, you're aware of it, instead of posting once a month or once every 2 weeks. People are not going to be aware of what you're posting. So what you want to do is you want to start with a passion of yours, something you could do on a daily basis, and that way you can post as many videos, even if it's a 10-minute video, 5-minute video. Just be consistent in terms of posting, and ideally your subscribers and your comments and your views will slowly start increasing. And once you start those views increasing, you start getting at least 10,000 subscribers and getting a lot of views, then YouTube says, okay, this person has a lot of views, has a lot of eyeballs. Let's start asking them if they're interested in marketing some of the marketers that we have. Let's say, if you're selling, let's say you're into fashion or makeup, then ideally, then you want to, YouTube will start getting marketing towards, let's say, fashion companies or, Polo, or if you're doing makeup, then maybe, L'Oreal and all these other companies that do makeup will start advertising on your YouTube channel. They'll start putting ads in between your videos. It's really your option if you want to. But once you start doing that, then you can actually start becoming a business owner, because you actually have some kind of income. Otherwise, before you're doing that, you're doing it kind of as a hobby, because obviously you're not making any money from it, so you're not a business. Let's see. Do I have to register as a business? You can register a YouTube channel as a business, and you can take losses, obviously, because you have to maybe buy a camera, buy a laptop, buy the stuff that you do on YouTube. Let's say the makeup that you put on, whatever, the lighting. So you could have a business under YouTube, your channel. But remember, you're not going to make any money, so you're going to have a lot of losses. Meaning, like, you're not going to make any money. You're going to just have to file losses for a while, and then hopefully you start making money, and then that way it can be a successful business. Let's see, I got some more questions here. Do I have to register it as a business when it starts to make money? You should register as a business owner, because then you actually start thinking like a business owner, because then maybe you can have other people make channels for you, make videos for you, and that way you're just hiring people to make videos for you and just posting them, and that way you can start making money. Especially when you start making money, you do want to start file it as a business, because you will get all the chances to write off as much as you can, especially when it comes to your equipment, your materials. You get to write all that stuff off as a business owner. If you're an individual, you're just taking all those losses as an individual. But as a business, you can take all those losses and use them to your advantage in terms of getting a tax break at the end of the year. And also, you can start scaling up by having maybe collaborating with other YouTube video makers, or doing interviews of other YouTube people, or having guest appearances on other YouTube channels. So that way you can get your viewership up, and hopefully you can get more money that way. And last question here before they kick me off is, how do I file taxes for a YouTube channel? What you want to do is you're going to start a small, let's say, LLC. Cell phones LLC, if you're going to sell cell phones, whatever. An LLC is a simple, company, limited liability company. And what that does is just protects you. It has its own EIN number. It has its own kind of structure, and that way it's separate from you. And what that does is all your business stuff is going through that LLC. So your camera, your laptop, your microphone, your lights, your makeup, everything that you do for the business, you have the receipt and you put it under the LLC, and the LLC will take all those losses for you. And that way at the end of the year, you get a tax break on that LLC. Also, the filing fee for the LLC, you can put that against the LLC, because it costs you money to start that business. And then hopefully you start making money, and then hopefully the LLC is actually profitable. Guys, those are great questions. I have 1 minute left. Guys, if you know people who are interested in learning about business and how to be successful at business, please share and like this, or pass it on to people that would like this. I'll take all the videos that I created on Zoom and I'll put them on YouTube. It'll be kind of a series, so people can get a chance to review them from all the way from where we started from to where we're going to finish off in four more episodes. So let people know that these episodes are coming out. It's every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. People who are business owners, people who have business ideas, people who have business concepts, let them know that we're on here, and we trying to just give back in terms of people who are struggling right now without a job, and they can have a chance to start their own successful business. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Stay safe, and I'll see you next Wednesday.